Peace, peace. Yeah, I just want to do this quick video. Get y'all know what's really going down with this Supreme Court ruling that's about to take place on Wednesday, November 13th, in which Comcast is trying to gut out the Civil Rights Act of 1866. And this is a post that I just put on Facebook less than 20 minutes ago. And it states of SCOTUS meeting the Supreme Court rules in favor of Comcast. Not only black people are going to be affected negatively, but SCOTUS will have to deal with the other so-called minorities as well, such as the LGBT community, women, immigrants, or the so-called Brown Coalition, and so forth. See, when they make a ruling, if it's a ruling that's only going to benefit black people, I could tell you right now, the Supreme Court is not going to vote for it. But if there's a ruling that is not only going to affect black people, then I expect the Supreme Court to not vote in favor of the person or company who took them to the Supreme Court, such as Comcast. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not really worried about. So in effect, I'm not really worried about how I'm not really worried about SCOTUS voting in favor of Comcast, because personally I don't think they will, because of the other so-called minority groups, such as the LGBT community, which is starting to grow more and more politically. But even though the LGBT people make up less than 5% of all Americans, but yet they're more influential politically than any other minority group in this nation, in my opinion. Just in my opinion. Also, like a close second to the LGBT community, or the so-called Brown Coalition, these immigrants, in which the Democratic presidential field caters more to than the American descendants of slavery, aka foundational black Americans. You know what I'm saying? So anything I feel that is only going to favor black people, the Supreme Court is not going to vote in favor. You know what I'm saying? So this Civil Rights Act of 1866 is not only going to affect black people, it affects all so-called minority groups. You know what I'm saying? Even anybody who is non-white and non-male, pretty much. Because white men are not considered a minority. White men are considered the majority, even though their population numbers have been dropping since the 1970s. And that's just because of governmental policies that have been passed since the 1970s, starting with the destruction of the Bretton Woods agreements in 1971, which led to globalization and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Then Reaganomics brought the white male population down even further. You know, which is how we got this current occupant of the White House, such as Donald Trump. So white men see Donald Trump as their only salvation, or how they can regain themselves as a so-called a majority in this country. I don't know how they're going to do it population-wise, because white people are unable to produce white children. And it's not all their fault. It's because of government policy, which prevents people from having more children. You know, it's governmental policy that prevents population growth. And that's their whole idea, is to prevent population growth. I'll be very shocked if the Supreme Court rules in favor of Comcast. Not only is going to affect all minority groups, this means that companies like Comcast can eliminate all competition. What is America if America doesn't have any business competition? If America only has monopolies? You know what I'm saying? Personally, I don't think the Supreme Court would be in favor of monopolies. This is why I can't see the Supreme Court ruling in favor of Comcast. They could care less about us black folks, about us American descendants of slavery, about us foundational black Americans. They could care less about us. It's not even about us anymore. And it hasn't been about us since 1965, in which that Immigration Act was passed to allow all types of immigrants to come into this nation, in which their population numbers have been rising probably every year since the 1970s. I mean, it's gotten to the point where government officials, such as your Congress, have been talking about immigration reform since the 1990s. You know what I'm saying? There was one time in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, that immigration was a very huge problem. We got too many immigrants here, too many brown people in this country who weren't born here, or first generation Americans or second generation Americans. It's too many of those people here, and they've been trying to find ways to deport them. But I don't think government policy has prevented a lot of these people from even coming into this country in the first place, because the government is allowing them to come to this country willingly. I personally think the government and the people above the government are setting this up to blot out all of us foundational black Americans, aka American descendants of slavery. Is to blot us out as a not only as a group, but as a lineage of people who are connected to the system of slavery. You know what I'm saying? In which our ancestors have been enslaved for over 400 years. You know what I'm saying? So So yeah. So yeah, that's how I see this. This is exactly how I see this Supreme Court ruling. This is exactly how I see this Supreme Court ruling. And unfortunately, I wish Sister Yvette was the focus on that rather than focusing on this uh, Tariq situation of being in conflict with foundational Black Americans. You know, but hey, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I have no love lost for Yvette, and I have no love lost for Tariq. I personally, what I think is they both have the same goal in mind, which is to achieve reparations for the American descendants of slavery and foundational Black Americans, and that's what it should be all about. That should be our goal. You know what I'm saying? I believe that is their goal. It's just everybody's got a problem with the name distinction. You know what I'm saying? I think the more of the name distinctions that we have that confuse the system of white supremacy is going to become. Who should white people come after first? The American descendants of slavery or foundational Black Americans? Then again, white people probably might see them as the same thing. So you can't get mad at Tariq for wanting to set up a foundational Black American conference. You know what I'm saying? Especially if his goal is to achieve reparations for the American descendants of slavery. You know what I mean? But this SCOTUS ruling is very important, and there's a article that I came across from a sister Tansy Travelista Flakes. I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that group. Hold on here. I'm gonna go ahead and find that group real quick. Angry Black Sheep. She actually put out a very good article here by Danette Mitchell, uh, in which Danette Mitchell said that the legendary Tubman deserves better than Harriet. Hold on, let's see here. Ooh, I didn't know it was that many groups. That's a lot of groups. See if I could find it quicker this way. She actually put the post up 7 hours ago. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it this way. Bear with me for a second, family. Mm. Here it is. This is it right here. This article right here. Let's pull it up right now. And this is all related to this Supreme Court case coming up. in which Comcast is challenging a media mogul, Byron Allen. You know what I'm saying? This is all the same because Comcast is the subsidiary behind the movie Harriet being created, in which Features is the subsidiary of Comcast. So Comcast has a lot of weight to how the movie Harriet was created. So I mean, shoot. So basically, Comcast is the main beneficiary of the movie Harriet, and let's go ahead and read this article in which Danette Mitchell says, "I saw the new film Harriet. It was a decent cinematic rendition based on the life of Harriet Tubman. And while many movies take dramatic license with historical events, as did Harriet, specific inaccuracies and fictional characters presented problematic areas that are not only dangerous to the black community and distort American history, but also desecrate the legacy of an ancestor and a holy woman who had tapped into the spiritual realm, manifesting dreams and visions, and transported her spirit from one place to another. She is a woman who has earned and deserved the highest level of accuracy, respect, and honor in telling her story for the first time in a full-length feature film. The movie portrayed Bigger Long as a brutal and savage black bounty hunter hired by a slave owner to capture Tubman. He refers to Tubman as a black bitch, saying that he wants the reward money to buy white whores. The language coming from a black man to a white man appeared forced and out of place for that period. Absolutely. Not only that, the black man brutally kills Marie Buchanan, a free black woman who takes Tubman in and teaches her how to live as a free woman. While her character acknowledges sisterhood among black women, it also pushes a narrative that black men are an enemy of African American women. Throughout U.S. history, black men have been continuously characterized as violent when insatiable appetites for white women. Journalist and activist Ida B. Wells wrote about the lynching of black people, mostly black men, lynched for crimes they didn't commit, often including those against white women. The 1915 film Birth of a Nation portrayed black men, many played by white actors in blackface, as unintelligent and sexually aggressive toward white women. The Ku Klux Klan was the heroic force in the movie. Fast forward to the 21st century, black men remain challenged by stereotypes leading to their deaths. Based on Tubman's support of black men, she would have been displeased with the Bigger Long character. As told in Harriet Tubman, The Most of Her People by Sarah Hopkins Bradford, who interviewed Tubman, she once refused to tie up a slave so that the overseer could whip him. When the slave ran through the door of a store he run into, Tubman moved in front of the doorway to stop the pursuit. Hey, peace to you, brother Danubian. Good to see you in here, brother. Yeah, the overseer picked up a 2-pound weight and threw it at the fleeing slave. It hit Tubman in the head, giving her an identifiable deep scar on her forehead. After the accident, Tubman experienced severe headaches, often losing consciousness at any given moment and without warning. She believed the injury helped her to hear God's voice clearer. Tubman also enjoyed a mutually respectful relationship with Frederick Douglass and William Still, not fleshed out in the movie. Another point is that the movie sanitized slavery, even though it took place during the antebellum slave period. The only violent act shown in the film is from a black man when Hubman's body bore scars from the whip of her slave master and slave mistress. No one else was killed but black people, and the white slave master only murdered to save Harriet from the bounty hunter. Or actually, they're questions. I'm going to have to read that again. Another point is that the movie sanitized slavery even though it took place during the antebellum slave period. The only violent act shown in the film is from a black man when Tubman's body bore scars from the whip of her slave master and slave mistress. No one else was killed but black people, and the white slave master only murdered to save Harriet from the bounty hunter. Whenever Tubman told her story, she included the middle passage, her days on the plantation, days of hard labor, beatings she received and poverty. She said during the Bradford interview, there was good monsters and misses, as I've heard tell, but I didn't happen to come across them. A media mogul once said that the most powerful person in the world is the person who controls what you see and what you hear. For this reason, Queen Mother Harriet and the black community, especially black children and young people, deserve much better than the Harriet movie. I absolutely agree, Danette Mitchell. Big ups to Danette Mitchell for dropping this article out. And I'm going to definitely make sure, I'm going to definitely make sure to link this article with this video. So that's pretty much that article right there. And this is all connected with the Supreme Court ruling or whether they're going to rule with Comcast or not with Comcast. It's very elementary to me. You know what I'm saying? However, without us Americans, descendants of slavery, this country would have never been built. You know what I'm saying? This country would have never been built the way that it is today. And we could destroy this country at any time and rebuild it over again. You know what I mean? But too many of our people have a slave mentality. Too many Sambos and bootlickers. You know what I'm saying? That are preventing the rest of us from moving forward as a people. Not only as a people, but as a lineage connected to the system of slavery. So no, we can't include black and brown immigrants. I know this is going to hurt some of their feelings, but we're going for ours. We're going for ours. We're going for what white America, matter of fact, AKA the white government, owes us. And that's what really this is all about. And that's pretty much all I want to say in this video. So big ups to you, brother the Nubian, for being up in here. Appreciate you for listening, my brother. Feel free to share this in the highways and the byways. And I'll see ya in the next video. Peace.